Hey friends, thank you for joining us. This is lovely being you after all. So today I wanted to talk about self-love, how we all are going through our own journey on this, the level of love. And I have to share a few stories. Now, when I look back, because sometimes you have to look at some examples in order to basically place you where you are now, see where you came from to where you are now. Growing up, I really didn't know what love was. And I think that the self discovery of love is a beautiful thing. And it comes with time and it comes with experience. Sometimes even your parents don't understand or even fully know what love is. Everyone might come up with their own definition of it, as you will, as you come into your own form of understanding, you know. My father's love language was giving things, and I remember he used to get a necklace for myself and a necklace for my sister, or earrings for both of us. And I noticed as time progressed, my sister would get upset and she'd say, yours are better. I didn't have a problem exchanging, but it seemed as though there were, it was just met with the challenge. So I told my father one day, I said, look, I don't want to have the friction, so don't get it for me. And he's like, I guess he looked at it like, maybe I shouldn't get it for either of them, because he probably looked at us as ungrateful. My thing was, I felt as though she always felt like I was getting the better one, like he was selecting mine over what he was giving her. And to me, they both looked the same. They just had different colors. My favorite color was green. So, of course, he gave me the one with green in it. When she made the statement, I just assumed exchange, but she didn't want to exchange. And it seemed like it was becoming more of a challenge between the two of us. So I thought that the smart thing would be to do was to just tell him that, because I knew, or at least at the time, I felt like I knew his heart. But the love languages that we express, it's important that the people in our lives know what our love language is, because a lot of people leave things to assumption. And you can't really leave it to assumption, because people assume all sorts of things. When I look at even my brother Kevin's funeral, when he passed away, everyone sat near me. And my sister was upset about that. She said, even my mother came and sat with you. Again, we don't, we have, sometimes when certain things are not settled when you are young. That's why I say counseling was definitely something that we really missed the boat on. We really should have had family counseling. My father was dead set against it, so we did not. But I think that if my stepmother actually was the one who actually prompted it, and I thought that was a great idea on her part. We could look at the bad things people do, and then we can look at the good things, because it is important that we do appreciate the journey. And on the journey, appreciating what goes on is also appreciating the individuals. Everyone's not all bad. And when you're upset, you might see it that way. But in all honesty, everyone, I mean, now it's a little different. But back then, I think it was a whole different perspective. And although people don't always understand, like I didn't understand not having food in the house and people going out to eat, and my brother and I having to go down to the corner and give them change so we could eat bread, and that was all we could afford. But I don't think everyone saw everyone's position. I think as a parent, like I said, there's no handbook. So you might see certain things and you might not see others. I appreciated the fact that I could go to hang out with my friends and I wouldn't have those problems, because everyone was even. Their parents didn't, they just had food, and, everyone was privy to having that food. When I look back and I look at the journey itself, I realize that everyone may have played their part, but I don't think anyone really did it, cold-heartedly. Because I think, like, one thing, we went to Gam's house, there was always food, and even when she didn't have much, she found a way to create a miracle, and everyone was able to eat. So one thing you didn't have to worry. You went to Gam's house, she was definitely making sure that everyone ate and everyone was comfortable, you know. Sure, we could say, oh, she had favorites, but who doesn't have favorites? Everyone seems to have a favorite, whether they acknowledge it or not. You know I was not anyone's favorite, and that's fine too. You know, because again, the journey is for us to learn and to grow. When you see certain things going on with different individuals and you're able to learn from them, then you'll be better off, better able to correct it when it happens in your life. You know, everyone coming to me is because they knew that I had left my job to support, so that because I knew my mother was no longer around, and that would have been her job. So I took on that responsibility, even though he was the older. Someone needed to be there. You know, everyone has their own perspective on things. You're going to have your opinion on things. I'm going to have my opinion on things. But we do need to be able to acknowledge certain things. You know, the journey is still ours. And while we're enjoying or experiencing the journey, we can see each other's part and say, okay, I can grow from this. Sometimes when you are used to getting everything your way, you assume in life that it's going to be that way. That's what happens when you get spoiled. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, myself as well as my stepmother did spoil my younger sister. So it's not totally her fault when she makes certain mistakes. It's not anyone's total fault when they make mistakes. Again, the journey is yours to see. The journey is mine to see. We're observing. And when you're observing, you have to also say, okay, there's going to be a certain part of time where you have to pull back and let the person learn on their own. You know, I saw this with, my mother was very protective of my older brother, and she spoiled him. Let's be honest, she spoiled him. But there were certain times where she did not pull back. When a person separates from your life, they have no choice but to pull back because they're not here anymore. And it forces you to grow up. When God said, okay, it's time, and he said, okay, I want you to do this or I want you to do that, you're receptive enough to understand, to learn, and to make those choices. You know, again, when I was in trucking, I was supposed to be in trucking during that time. But when it was time to separate, God will show you different things. He'll show you different problems you're going to start having because it's time to move on. And it's hard sometimes to separate from something that you think you love or something that you think you're enjoying at the time. Now, there were a lot of parts of it that I did not enjoy. In fact, if I didn't have a cohort, someone to work with, I don't think that I would have actually stayed on as long as I did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more so driving solo. But it wasn't that type of thing for me because my thing was safety. And I started seeing certain guys approach you, and it's just that some of them were not as respectful. And, you know, I saw a lot of husband and wives out on the road, and I saw some abuse in that aspect too, because the husbands were like giving the women too much work to do, and then they wanted them to stay awake with them while they drove. There were certain things that's good and bad in a lot of different things. And when you're on your own journey spiritually, you have to evaluate and elaborate on things that affect you. When you look at the people that you grew up in your surroundings, you look at how they treated you, you treated them, and you say, wow, okay, I can grow from this experience. And then when you look at your own children, you can look at that and grow from that experience, you know. It's like my younger brother and I were best friends until we weren't anymore, you know, where we had grown apart. And, you know, sometimes people will say, oh, okay, you chose this person over me. And it's not that. I think I was overprotective of all my siblings at one point in time or another. And that's just being me. You know, I'm like a mother in my own way. I've always been, you know, always the one who, you know, was a caretaker or supportive over my family members, you know. My youngest brother and I did not have the same closeness, and I think it's because when he was born last, his behavior was very different. We weren't close no matter what I tried to do. I remember one time I tried to cut his hair because, my stepmother kept saying he needed a haircut. And I thought that the clippers were easy. I saw them do it on the commercial or whatever. I thought I could do it too. And I messed his hair up. His haircut was so bad that she had no choice but to take him to the barbershop. Now, some people could say that was a blessing because now he finally got to the barbershop and there was no more complaining. But I didn't live that one down for a long time. People were very upset with me. And sincerely, I really thought I was doing the right thing. I really thought I could do it. This just goes to show that some of us are talented in some areas and some of us are talented in others. My younger brother was a barber. He's a master barber, even to this day. And he would have been able to cut my younger brother's hair probably. But at the time he wasn't around. He was in Manhattan. So my stepmother took him to the barbershop. Again, the easiest thing we could possibly do is figure out what our talents are so that we can work them out. I wasn't talented in that area. I'm more talented in the kitchen, okay? And in organizing things, and decorating things. But again, we're not all talented in all the same areas, My relationship was more of a strain with my younger brother because I realized he was closest to my younger sister and they would have their little powwows and sometimes my name would be thrown under the bridge. And I guess sometimes and when you look at siblings dynamics, these are things that happen. People act in certain ways when they are going through their own journey. The thing is that when you're trying to even get back to having a better relationship with another individual, you've got to put forth the effort. You can't assume someone else is going to do it. And I mean, my youngest brother and I, we used to have bouts because my stepmother would make me drop him off at school sometimes and he didn't want to eat the oatmeal. And he threw the oatmeal up and hit the ceiling one time. That was it. Boy, I was going to have it. We were about to have it out. He was a kid, but he really didn't want the oatmeal. And since she was forcing him to take it, that's what he did because he didn't want it. Now, I had to clean up the mess. But when you look at the dynamics, the age differences, and he could have been, in whatever mood he was in, he was a child. But see, we all go through our own bouts in life. And sometimes it's easier to point fingers at other people and not take responsibility for our own positions. I personally have always been there and wanting to try to help out in any way that I could. But in no way did I ever think or did I ever want people to take advantage of that. I think if anyone looks at their family dynamics, they're going to always see where something was unbalanced. And it's your job to balance it out, to fix things the way that you feel they should be fixed in your own life, because it starts with you. It doesn't start with everyone else, because when you're in separation with other people, you've got to work on your own idealism. You've got to work on what it is that works best for you in your personal life. You can extend yourself after that, or what have you. But I believe personally, the way that God has aligned things is because I personally, with me always wanting to help everyone else out, God speaks of you helping yourself. God speaks of how, you can go through the Bible all you want, and you're going to be able to find so much information, so many different examples of truth, and then you have your own truth. In the family dynamic, you can help others, but you have to help yourself first. So when you're going to help yourself and you're going to redirect your energy and do the necessary things that you need to do, because in all honesty, we all can get some work done, okay? Nobody's perfect, but on our journey, it is really important that we put ourselves first, and then everyone else can come in soon after, if you so choose to. Because when relationships are unhealthy and you've given people so many different chances to do right by you, and they seem as though that they want to continue to do negative things, you cannot let those people back in your area, especially when you don't think that it's a safe experience to have. We as individuals have got to look at our own development and put ourselves first. Like I said, love language. Everyone has their own love language. Some people choose to give a gift to people when they are, operating in that area. Love language could be a hug. You don't always have to purchase something. You can actually impart your feelings, your views, your love to the person, but it's important that you know and acknowledge what the love language is with that person, because we don't always know what another person's love language is. Communication by far is the first thing you want to do, but it is important that you put yourself first, so that when things go wrong, you don't blame yourself, because you say, you know what, at least I did what I was supposed to do for myself. When you learn to love yourself and to embrace yourself and not allow anyone else to come in and hurt you because you are protecting yourself, that is another thing. Sometimes when it's family, you will give the people a break. You say, you know what, they're my family. But family can teach you some harsh lessons just as friends can teach you some harsh lessons. So if you don't learn to put yourself first, you can find yourself getting hurt even more so. So it's important to put yourself first, okay? Because after all, it is so lovely being you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you were able to receive the message, and you have a great day. Thank you.